You are now listening to the Super Coach Experience. The Super Coach Experience. The Super Coach Experience.
Welcome back to the Super Coach Experience podcast. Yes, I'm your host again this week. It's Mike, the coach of the Trip Jacket Mafia. With me, as always, we've got Jake, who's going to help me co-host the show today, the coach of the Ramian Noodles. How are you, Jake?
I'm good. I'm not really much of a co-host. You're the main man. I'm just the little bit of extras that helps you along.
Very much needed. And for the first time, we've got another big guest on today, Rob, the coach of Centurions, currently in 4th place overall. Pleasure to have you on, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no, that's good. So just quickly, the base of the show today, I think later on in the episode, we're going to expect to hear from also 6th ranked overall, Clementine. Congratulations again to Timmy, who holds his spot. The race at the top's really heating up. It's a lot closer now than it was last week, so it can really go anyway. So good luck to everyone up the top there. We're going to really address all the big team news again, a lot of key ins and outs. We're going to go over that. But first and foremost, I want to talk to Rob. Just quickly, mate, big season for you. You've come into 4th. Just tell us a bit about your Supercoach history, like how you've gone in past years, or is this like your breakout year now? How have you been going?
Yeah, so I started playing back in 2016, so 5th season, so probably relatively new, I'd guess, to the Supercoach scene, and it's been a mixed bag. So best finish before this year's 246, so it'd been right up there. That was back in 2018. Last year was a bit of a dreadful year. We finished about 20,000. With the all started off horribly, and with the COVID break and coming back with unlimited trade, just didn't manage that too well. But so I guess season 21's a bit of a resurgence, and been sitting up at the top pointy end since about round 12, where I hit the front, and been bouncing up between 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So just riding the highs and just trying to enjoy it as much as I can.
Yeah, no, that's good. An important thing I wanted to note as well for all the listeners here is that your sister won in 2016, was it, Mary?
2015. Yeah.
15. Okay, wow, that's huge.
It's
runs in the family.
It does run in the family, and even before playing Supercoach has always been a strong sibling rivalry in our household, and extends to Supercoach. And I guess ever since you've won it, it's always been a goal, a dream to win Supercoach as well. So very close this year, and hopefully by the end of this year get there. So.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, best of luck. That's crazy. That will be the first time, obviously, if a brother and sister could take it out. Just quickly, so what are the moves that you think? What are some of your biggest moves you've done this year to get you in your position? Obviously, it was no fluke getting up that top end, and the fact that you've been able to hold it since that round that you said. So, yeah, what are some of your best moves that you think have really shot you up into this position?
Yeah, I think it's been a really weird Supercoach year where you just going into the year you've had to kind of throw out your fundamentals of the past. I consider myself pretty conservative, a conservative player where you start with your cheapies and guns, and you work your way up and get as many guns and strongest team by the end of it. But I guess early on, getting on players very early, like Nico Hines, I got on when he was, in the 200s. So as the first week he was, starting, and I was expecting just to get rid of him in the first buy, but being lucky, Pappy, got injured, and he got the start and was able to ride all his scores right from the start. I think very importantly was I got on Tommy Turbo very early. So I think he came back around round 5 or 6 and got a ton off the bat. And I know a lot of super coaches were a bit standoffish due to his injury history, but I was just, he's my favourite player, probably like a lot of people, would be for a lot of people. And I got on the second game was playing, and he's just gone leaps and bounds ever since. And getting on his iPad as well early on helped out. And I think another thing was looking at my captain average. It's been crazy. So I've averaged 142 for my captain.
Wow.
Up to this point.
You've nailed it.
So every big score. So I got Nathan Cleary's 225 and 197 back to back. Turbo's double tons. Pappy's 190. So just being on the right captains has obviously helped me.
Crucial.
Right from the bat. It's been crucial, and you take a captain average in previous years of 80 or 90, you'd be happy. But this year,
100%.
That would not get you anywhere. So I guess those have been the keys to, where I'm at, to getting to the top, but also, staying up there as well.
Yeah, no, the huge plays. And it's one thing we always jam on this podcast saying, sometimes it's not just all about pods. It's about getting on a player weeks before other people do, because that is a pod play there. So generally, if a player is so good, they're going to be heavily owned. So yeah, big props. Currently at the moment, Rob's sitting 286 points behind Timmy. So, I think this is a crucial round for all of the top 4. So, interested to see how it goes on. Is there any moves that you've made that you think that you've regretted? Like, is there anything you've got really wrong?
Yes. Heaps, and I guess that goes to show that, it's the guys up the top, they get a lot of things right, but we still get a lot of things wrong. And Timmy, up top can probably say the same thing. He's probably made a few mistakes on the way that you look back on. So I think the biggest mistake that I've made there's 2. One was trading in Cody Nikorima for the round 17 bye. Seeing his draw, obviously covering the bye and seeing his draw, for the run home, it's just like, look, he's had a good year to date. Get on. Gives me 7 points for the bye round, and got benched, and haven't played him ever since, and just haven't been able to get rid of him to date. So he's a bit of a thorn in the back of my side. And the other one was actually post bye, when I guess it was getting quite interesting with Timmy hitting the front, and a lot of moving pieces, obviously juggling Nathan Cleary's return and Pappy's return, and et cetera, et cetera. I actually and this is probably the biggest regret, which has probably killed my year, I reckon, is trading in Dane Laurie for his 2.
Oh,
so I traded him in the week, and I remember just sitting, saying I'm going, I'm on the Tigers. I think they got a good run, playing fullback, 2 games against the Dogs, Bronx, and just seeing that, just it breaks your heart, especially being up the top. But can't reflect on that. You just got to cop it on the chin and do what you can to rebound, and so hoping to make the right moves for the last 2 rounds, good selections and captain choices, and finish strong.
Yeah, so do you have, just with those last 2 rounds, what are your tactics? Just kind of stick to what you know, and try now those captain options, and as well, try and how you looking for numbers this round? Do you think you can field a full side, or
my side is hurting at the moment, big time. If I guess anyone can kind of go on the app and have a look, but it's I've got injuries across the board. I'm got 2 active second row forwards at the moment. That includes Josh Curran, who's in a bit of doubt.
Yeah.
So, and I guess at the start of the year, you look at my second rows, I've got Angus Crichton, Matto, CHN, Fafita, someone else that's injured that I can't recall. Sorry, but they've all gone down, and that's a bit of a graveyard, that second row forward area. So hoping Josh Curran gets named and then I'll kind of work out if I'm happy to take an AE, or
Yep.
if I want to make a trade to field as strong as 17 I can.
Yeah, nice. Seems like you obviously got a plan in place, like most, which is good. If you have any questions for Rob, drop them in the comments, and we'll put them on at the right time. We'll get to questions at some point, but yeah, just keep plugging them on the feed. Let's go over to Jake. Jake, I know you're not in the best spirits this week. Not the greatest outcome for you in a lot of the head-to-heads, but yeah, how was your week last week? And I guess what's your plans going forward? I know we're out of trades, but
well, like you, Mike, we've been out of trades for ages. Throw Savs in the same bucket. It's been a struggle. But I mean, it was looking all right until Ponga had a stinker. He was my captain, and then old James Tedesco. I think everyone who had a good round had as captain went massive, and that's sort of been, I guess, the big difference between, I guess, winning last week and being punted out in all cash leagues like myself. So yeah, I guess I got Tedesco. I guess I've been a running meme of not having Tedesco at the start of the year and last year. So it's come back and bit me in the ass again. So it's great to see. But I guess going forward, I mean, I'm in a couple of friendly leagues, so hopefully you can win those ones. I'm struggling to fill a 17. If Cook doesn't play, I've got 16 players. Centre wings are bashed up. Second row is bashed up, just like Rob here. But the Sharks, that's one good thing. The Sharks won last week, and they're a chance of making the 8. He did get it wrong. Hopefully we can make the 8. Hopefully we verse Parramatta in the first final, so we have a chance to go into the next week. Otherwise, we're going to get punted straight out.
Yeah, that's true. Just quickly, Rob, I'm not sure what team do you support? I guess that's always important to know.
Well, I think Jake just mentioned I'm a Para Eels fan. And it's, you're just being conditioned to, you start off and have high hopes at the start of the year, and they quickly go down the drain very quickly. So not expecting a lot this week against Melbourne. Could be anything.
And then Penrith next week, my boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think both sides really might, look at restings. I know Para's looking at resting a few players. Not sure what Penrith will look to do, but yeah, I mean, not expecting a lot, but who knows? We might make a little run in the finals, hopefully. Yeah,
it's a great point about player resting, because it is one of the talking points. Just quickly before we get to that, last week, I had an awful round, probably one of my worst rounds in a while. It was looking like a very under par scoring round, especially for, before Tedesco. We set it out of our predictions, and we knew that Tedesco was going to really just notch it up, and he bit me in the arse. 952 for me last week, and fortunately for me, I got through to I had a week off in 6 out of 9 of my cash comps, so I got lucky. I only managed to win one, and I managed to win the Turbo Hammies Cup one against Andrew Scanlon. I got lucky, so that I guess I should plug that. Me versus Ado in the THC prelim this week. I'm the only one left for the Supercoach experience. So, look, man, I think I'm the underdog this week. Finished 6th place in that one, and like Jake, I'm really struggling to field 17. Dewey really hurts. Dewey gone for the season has been a real good, light from my side, and I know plenty of other Supercoach players. Also, the news of Brian To'o really hurts. I didn't want to trade him. I decided to trade him and kept CHN instead, and look how that's turned out. So I think people that have hold To'o are really going to hold a bit of an advantage this week, because if he plays, you can plug him in there, and he's someone that has a very high base. But against the Tigers, they've named a very full strength side, and realistically, this looks like one of the sides they will carry through into the finals. So it's interesting to see what will happen if they will get rested. I'm personally not sure. I guess Cleary's going to want a bit of momentum going into the finals, but at the same time, when you've got that much depth in the side, crumble the Tigers this week, then potentially, of course, they're going to look at resting players. It just really depends. They've got lots of depth too. It's not really going to change any outcome, a win or a loss. So really, it's just our thoughts against everyone else's thoughts. But yeah, I guess you've got a plan for player resting. So it's an interesting one. So quickly, another thing to point out is it's me versus Sabs in a Supercoach thing this week. So I'm sure you'll see him back next week, giving me crap if he takes me out. But let's hope I can get it done. Not sure if Sabs is going to return next week, so we'll wait and see. Okay, so team news, key injuries and changes. Luke Thompson looked like he was going to be a great pickup for the bye rounds. I picked him up, was very happy with the purchase, and he's been an absolute stinker. He's immediately gone to one of my never again purchases just because his record is horrible. He just keeps getting suspended, comes back for a week, suspend him for another week. So I'm pretty sure he took the early guilty plea and he's gone for another 3 weeks. So right now, where numbers are ever so crucial, it's a really big person to miss. Just quickly, we'll throw to you, Rob. The next two I want to mention, we've got Josh Curran, Damien Cook, Jerome Hughes. What do you think are their chances of playing this week?
Well, I guess on Josh Curran, I'm one of the coaches that have had Josh Curran. I actually started the year with him. I saw him in the
wow.
I saw him in the All-Stars game, and a bit like people that got on Sammy Walker, seeing him eventually getting a star. I saw Curran, working his way into the side, and I guess that's one good call I made at the start of the year. But I guess for this week, I'm praying he gets named, because if he doesn't get named, then I'm down to 15 really before any trades. So it looked very innocuous, the head knock. It looked like his face planted trying to save the match-winning try. So we didn't get any confirmation if he failed the HIA. So I'm hoping since he's named, that's promising. But I guess that's check late mail, 5-day turnaround. So that's not in his favour. Jerome Hughes, it's an interesting one, because obviously they got Nico Hines on the bench that. I actually see Jerome Hughes playing, and if anyone was going to get a late scratching or rested, it's going to be Cam Munster, in my opinion. And we know that Bellamy's looking to rest all his key players going into the finals. Jerome Hughes has had a week off, although it was quite a bad HIA. Do think he'll come back in the fold, and then Damien Cook. I still think he might be a late out from what I'm reading. So although he's gone through training, been reading that if he takes the field, he's not going to be 100%. And with the Bunnies not really having a lot to play for, they've locked up, the top, second or third. Probably going to play Penrith in the finals. There's no home ground advantage to play for. I just see them taking a conservative approach with Cookie and giving him another week off.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. Just quickly, the physio did post about Cook, saying that he got through a conditioning run and he won't play if he's not 100%. So at this stage, I wasn't expecting him to get named. Like Jake, I'm really sweating on him being a number, but I'm not convinced on Jerome Hughes. It just seemed like such a bad head knock that we've seen those head knocks be rested for quite a few weeks. I know a lot of these players will be pushing to play. I'm very shocked with Bellamy. Like I was expecting, like a Munster to get rested, and Nano Carr to get rested. Just seeing him rest Brennan Smith, Olam, I thought, okay, this week we'll see another 3. So I do think there will be a few late changes. Hines on the bench. Hopefully for owners he comes in. Do we all still own Hines? Jake, do you own Hines? Yeah, and Rob, do you own Hines?
No, I actually sold it to Teddy a couple of weeks ago. So I've been one of the guys at the top that hoping he was going to get relegated to the bench, and this week it's happened. And I think for my situation, you really benefit me, the Storm going as named. I think if Hines is on the bench, or if the Storm line up the way they are, I don't think you can play him in any without any confidence. You're not sure what minutes he's going to get. He could come on at halftime and spell one of the halves, or he could do what he did at the start of the year and play his 10-15 minutes and not do anything. So if it's as now, I can't see how you can play him in your 17s if you have the option.
Yeah, Jake, I know you don't have an option, but what would you be doing if you did have an option?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be playing him if like Rob said, if teams stay the same. I think the fact that Hughes was named, I think means he's probably going to play. You wouldn't kind of name a player if they're battling a head knock. So I think Hughes will probably play, and hopefully they rest players next week. That will greatly help the Sharks. But I mean, I think probably next week's the one that they're going to rest players, get them sort of fresh for the next week with a big clash. This week they kind of want, I don't know, a bit of because they've kind of had players in and out, so they kind of want the same team on the park, get a bit of synergy, and then 2 weeks' time they'll hopefully be good to go. But with the sort of, you mentioned about the Panthers, Ivan said, I think it was maybe a week or two ago, because they've had heaps of players sort of in and out, they haven't had a full strength team. Like all the players have sort of been rested already. He sort of said that he's probably not going to be resting anymore, like through to the end, like the last 2 rounds. So I mean, it's coaches, they play Ducks and Drakes all the time, but the way that kind of they're going, the Panthers. They probably do, like they're not going to play Ducks and Drakes to put any team off. Like they are where they are. So, but I mean, back to Hines. Yeah, if you've got other centre wings, definitely play them over him. Because when he played off the bench for wasn't the first round, it was like round 2 to 4 or something. He was getting like 10 to 20 points, if that, and that was with a try for I think one of the games. So yeah, definitely don't be playing him. Unless you're forced to, like myself, just take his 7 points and be happy with it.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm in the same boat as you guys. If he's on the bench, I wouldn't be playing him. I know he's a capable player of coming on and really taking the most out of his 20 minutes or whatever, how many minutes he gets. But if I didn't have to play him, I wouldn't. But yeah, as you said, he could be a handy number for next week. I think he'll come into the 17 next week if they don't rest Munster. Or Melbourne, they haven't 100% locked up the minor premiership. All they have to do is just they'd have to lose the next 2, I think. But with that big for and against, they've they've locked it up. So, yeah, I think they'll do what's best for the team. I think in a minute.
Sorry.
Go, Rob.
I just see Melbourne seeing this game as a statement game, I guess, against Parramatta, another finals team, putting out a strong, the strongest 17 from the looks of it. I think they really want to make a statement to everyone and probably see what they did last round last year, where they did the mass restings against the Sharks.
Yeah, 100%. Just quickly on player restings before we have Clementine join. What are your plans around the player restings? I know you said you're pretty short on numbers. I know there's always trades you can use and stuff like that, but is it kind of just cross your fingers and hope for the best, or is there any way you can kind of counter manage it for the last 2 rounds?
I think for me, looking at my side, I'm not too concerned with player restings. I've got a lot of Roosters players on my side. So from the comments that Trent Robinson's been making, he likes to get his team flowing and playing each week. So I don't see any of the Roosters playing, which will help me. And Angus Crichton will be back for me last round, which will be a huge addition. I think the only rest player I might be concerned about is Cody Walker last round. Can see Wayne Bennett, resting him potentially. He's only had 1 game off, I believe, for the whole year. I think the only reason he might play is if he's still in the competing for the Dally M. That's probably the only reason you would play him. So I guess in my situation with how many injuries I've got, I'm only carrying, I think, 18, 19 fit players from the looks of it, and that's including Cody Nikorima, who I wouldn't even count as a number at the moment. So I'm in a position where you just got to hope that the team lists are kind, and the coaches, when they post their teams, not doing too many changes come game day. So
Yeah, I agree with you there. Now, just quickly, we've had Clementine join us in the middle of that. Welcome to the show, Clementine.
Hey.
Currently ranked 6 overall. I haven't noted down your team name, but yeah, tell us your team name and yeah, tell us how you've been going this year in Supercoach. Thanks for coming on.
Sure. So my team name's Friday Beers. I got the
Awesome.
team name on the Instagram account. It's pretty funny. So if anyone wants to check that out, it's a pretty cool Instagram account. So yeah, my team's going all right, and I'm actually really surprised because it is only my second year playing this year. So
Wow.
yeah. And so last year I had a team, but it was pretty much just a muck around team. My boyfriend got me to make a team, I think, so I'd watch more footy games with him. So it like kind of worked and I got more into my footy. And then this year he was like, oh, you're going to make a team? And I'm like, oh, no, I don't think so. And then like he was like, no, you can join our league. So I was like, oh, okay, sweet. And then I was like, oh, shit, like I'm going to be that token girlfriend that gets thrashed every single week. So I was like, oh, my God, I need to make this team like really good. So I just like Googled like all the different Supercoach things I could find like, on how to make a really good team. And I literally followed it to a T. So cheapies, a certain number of cheapies, a certain number of guns, a certain number of mid-range players. So it kind of worked out for me. The first couple of weeks I got really good scores. So I was really super stoked at that. And then once the head-to-head started, I was beating like the people in the head-to-head. So I was like, oh, I'm actually going okay. So I was like, pretty cool.
That's a really cool story. I like the fact that, you know, you really come in with not much high hopes and then all of a sudden you're in here with a chance. I know you're in 6 and we got Rob currently in 4th and our very own Timmy in 1st, but do you know how far away you are from 1st place and what's your goal? Like, I know obviously you'd love to win it, but what's your plans for the next 2 rounds? Like, where do you want to be sitting?
To win a bright red tracksuit.
Top 11.
All those prizes they look. I'm very excited.
I would like to sort of stay in the top 10, but to be honest, like I'm just pretty super stoked that like I've managed to make it up here. Since about round 5, I've been in the top 500, so I'm really stoked at that. And it's just through watching like people like you guys, like I'm really listening to like experts and people who actually know what they're talking about. And then, yeah, definitely I'd love to stay in that top 10. And, yeah, it's just like an achievement that I never thought that I could really get. So, yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, you're definitely in with a chance. It's a big 2 weeks. Kind of what are your plans going forward? Like, are you going to just keep trying to pod captain, use some trades? Do you have a kind of a plan to go hard over the next 2 weeks, or are you just going to kind of wait and see?
Yep. So I've got a full 17 plus 2 on the bench this week. So I'm really stoked about that. So I do have one trade. So I'm going to like hang on to it like gold. Like I don't want to come into next week and then like all of a sudden my player's been rested or, you know, there's an injury and then I have no one to trade to because like that would be the absolute worst. Last week I ran with 15 players and no AE. I was actually praying that Wayne Bennett was going to play Tane Milner of all people because it was the only person I could possibly have as an AE, and of course that didn't happen. So by the time the Roosters game rolled around last week, I think I was on like 390 points or something, and I was like, oh shit, here I am, I'm going to drop way out of the top 10. But then obviously the Roosters had an awesome game. The Warriors players I had went well, so that kind of was great because I stayed in that top 10, so I dropped to 6th place. But the next couple of weeks I think I'll hold my trade this week, and then definitely next week I'll either trade for, you know, if I've got an injury, or I might do a luxury trade because I may as well use it for something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 17 this fall. You said you got 19 available to pick from. So, yeah, that's a lot better position. And I know all 3 of us are really struggling for numbers this week, and we're sweating on a lot of the key players.
And Clementine, you know, hanging right on my heels at the moment.
I've got a guy absolutely breathing down my neck at the moment, and he went up with the Cody Walker update, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, can you just get back down there? Go away. There's a whole heap of guys that are coming up, aren't they? So they're all kind of like, there's a whole heap that have like jumped up heaps of places. So I'm definitely got my eyes like looking behind me like, oh my God.
It's going to be a very close finish like it always is. So just quickly, before we move on with some questions and the rest of the key team users, what do you think same thing I asked to Rob, what do you think are some of your best plays that you've made this year to get you in that position? So you said you did a lot of your research. Who do you think your best players that you brought in that got you into the position you are now?
Definitely, I think the cheapies that I chose at the beginning. So I think like how I said, like I did that research and made that team to like an absolute, like followed the join the dots. I think I had like little at first. I had people like Watson, so I did have quite good cheapies, and they did get a lot of points to me, and they did make a lot of cash. As well as that, I think like I had players like David Fafita in my team, Jerome Luai at the beginning when he was scoring really well. So definitely with my plan over the season, I definitely targeted the buy rounds as well. So I was like, I could see people were going to either choose one or the other. So I was like, I'm going to try and have like a full team for 17, but then get as many players as I can. I mean, for 13, then get as many players as I can for 17. So definitely I jumped into the top 10 after that round 17 buy round. I think I had 12 players and a full 17 for the buy round before that. So I think that those 2 buy rounds have really helped me. And also I have been super lucky with injury and suspension. So, I mean, that's the luck of the draw, isn't it? So, yeah, that's been lucky.
Yep. 100%. Just quickly, Jake, I'll throw back to you. Do you have any questions for either Rob or Clementine, since I've been the one asking all of them?
Oh, well, we mentioned Rob the question about sort of his biggest regrets for the season. Clementine, do you have any mistakes that you made this season?
Any regrets? How do you choose one regret when you have so many? I have so many regrets. So I think one of my biggest regrets is not getting an Adam Dewey. Like literally, that's the one piece of advice I wish I had taken. Last week when I only had my 15 players, like before the Tigers game, I was just thinking, oh my God, can you please just like not go and score like a ton, so that, you know, it gives me some sort of chance. Definitely that. Definitely just probably I saved trades really well at the beginning, and then I think at the middle I kind of got a little bit trade heavy. So I would absolutely love to have, you know, 1 or 2 more trades right now where I could just do like a couple of luxury trades. I'd love to get a Nathan Cleary. I can't get him. So definitely regrets would be those 2. Also getting in Tohu Harris. I didn't have him, and then I was like, oh, I've got to have him for that 17 buy. Traded him in the week that he got his 20 points and gone. So I was just like, oh, luck of the draw.
Again. Personally,
were you the same, Rob? Did you bring him in just for that? Like, I was the same.
I bought him in for a total of 34 minutes for this season for a total of 30 points, and he's actually, and it'd be funny to say moving forward into future years, I can never trade him in.
It's burning that bad.
Even in the past, can just never get the timing right with him. You know, he starts the year off so well, and then you want him for the buys, and then he gets injured. I just never get it right. So.
Yeah, so he's such a good player, so he's someone hard to go without, but yet at the same time, I've been in the same boat as you, Rob, and injury will really burn me. So we did mainly go through a lot of the key aspects of the team news. So let's kind of roll into questions. We'll kind of share the questions around. So feel free, if you didn't post one, viewers, plug them in the comments. First one I've got here that I'll quickly put on screen. Good old Henry out in 24. He was coming first early in the season. He's still obviously real dirty at Timmy here. So afternoon, lads. Can you tell Timmy to stop making such good moves so I can at least make up a little bit of ground? Look, yeah.
Well,
I don't think it's going to happen.
He's too good. Aiming at all these guys ahead of him as well.
Yeah,
they're all ahead of him, and he's losing ground to them. So Henry's aiming that at you too. So there you go.
I guess it's just the luck of the contest. So
I'm going to say to Henry is I feel like my moves recently have not been that good. Just a lot of regrets recently. So.
All right, let's move on to we got Hayden Moore.
I saw one question in the thing. Mitch Hurrocks, is he one of your mates?
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
He wants to know what your high school nickname was.
There we go.
Yeah. Good
is it a good one?
A lot of the boys, and it's probably good say hey to the Supercoach Chit Chat boys that are wanting a plug. A few of the school boys that I went to school with. So I was actually my nickname's actually was labeled Wario because apparently I look like the Mario cartoon. Trying to get so a few costume parties back in the day where I'd always get the letter W for whatever reason. I wonder why. So yeah,
I didn't think of that beforehand.
I don't know.
That's cool. Yeah, nor did I. But now you said it, now I kind of see what they're talking about. So that's cool. All right, so we're going to go first question to Clementine. We're going to start with you. So we've got Hayden Moore, who did comment last week. Let me make sure I'm in the right one. Yeah, I'm in the right one. All right, cool. So Hayden Moore, he's ranked 2,000. He's got 20 players playing this week, and they're all starters except for David Fafita. He's got 2 trades left, so he wants to go Cook to Grant or Burden to Cleary. He will need to use the 2 trades if he does the Burden or Cleary. So, yeah, do you think they're good 2 trade options, or would you personally hold them for the last round? What do you think?
I would
Clementine?
it depends if he's playing for. I would hold them until the last round, but or maybe just wait and see the team list if Cook is actually out, unless it's been updated and I haven't seen it.
No, he's not out yet. He's still
But
unknown
yeah, I
yet.
don't know. Like, I would love to go for Clary. I still think, like, even though, like, he's obviously not performing as well as he was performing maybe like earlier in the year before he got injured, I still think like they've got like a couple of games where he can score a really massive score. Like, if he doesn't score a massive score on Sunday, I'd be so surprised. Harry Grant, I kind of wanted to get him in too, but then again, is he going to start off the bench next week, or is he going to be starting? I don't know.
It's a very good. It's a very good point. Yeah, because with Brandon Smith, he got rested last week. So then, does that kind of tell you that maybe he won't rest him next week? It's a very good point. We were talking about player restings before, and I guess it's just our guess against someone else's guess. So, yeah. I agree with Clementine there. Does Rob or Jake, would any of you do anything different there if you're fielding 20 plays this week and you've got 2 trades?
I mean, if you really want to win, I think Cleary, you kind of want him.
Yeah.
Especially against to play the Tigers. They've lost their best player. I mean, Harry Grant, there's a good chance he might not play next week because Brandon Smith was rested last week. So there's a chance Smith doesn't play. I mean, if he's going to play this week, he's going to get a good score. But I kind of wouldn't be using one of my 2 trades on bringing Harry Grant unless I guess I had to win a matchup.
Yeah, I think Harry Grant coming off the bench now, Brandon Smith start. I think that's the side that Bellamy's named now is the side that they're going to run in the finals. It's kind of they're training run all together for the finals. With Cleary, I'm petrified of what he can do to the Tigers this week. It couldn't be any. And probably going to my bold predictions later on. I'll probably tie into it. But he petrifies me, and he can do anything. And I mean, it depends. Targeting overall. If you want to try and crack the top 1,000, that I think he was ranked 2,000. Training in Cleary, sticking the captain on him, make up hundreds of ranks just in that play because no one can bring him in. But if he could also alternatively, if he can afford going to Grant, you can even consider DCE. He's got 2 great games this week and next week, and if he's ever got money, you can bring 2 guns in and go from there.
Yeah, it's a very good
one,
point.
DCE.
Yeah,
because they play Dogs this week and Cowboys next week, so that could potentially 2 big scores. And he doesn't really get rested. He's kind of made a granite DC, even though he's a skinny little thing. He doesn't seem to ever get rested. So I think he'll keep going. I don't mind that one on DC at all.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point because I think, if you had trades, you definitely hold them to next week. But at the same time, if one of those making the trades meant you could get Cleary, I kind of have to agree with Jake and, find what you can to get him in because, we know that Cleary has a potential to break the record at any point in time. And the Tigers without Dewey this week, I know I'm a Penrith supporter, but I'm really not expecting too much without Dewey in that side. It could be anything. And if Penrith decide now's the week to just put on 40, 50 points, that look at Nathan Cleary's scores in my eyes, he hasn't really done anything too above and beyond, although I thought it was a good individual performance for him last week. I really think, Cleary could easily post a 150 to 200 plus score. So, yeah, for non-owners, I'm just praying I don't come up against any Clearys in my head-to-head this week. But, yeah, it's going to be a make or break for a lot of sides. So, yeah, it's tough. Next question. We'll start with you, Rob. We got Aaron De Cruz. He's got 1 trade left. Ponga to Pap is very tempting, or is Hines a must-sell? And if so, what high-ceiling wingers or second rows would you recommend?
I think... And I was in the same dilemma when I traded in Teddy a couple of weeks ago. I was targeting Pappy or Ponga for the run home, and just waiting for Pappy to get the start. And I'm glad I didn't go Ponga because, everyone that went on him, you absolutely burnt by what he's produced against the sides. He looks hurt. They're not giving him the ball. He's not right. He's not following the ball. Always goes the other way. He just looks like he's playing injured, still carrying the sternum injury, or could be hampered by the groin injury he had at the start of the year. So, I think Ponga to Pappy is a great play, in my opinion. I mean, he's Pappy against Parramatta and the Sharks, depending on. I don't think he'll get rested. I think he's had plenty of time off. Then I get miles in the legs to him. And last week there were really good signs that played the full 80, got through it, was involved quite a lot, posted a ton. High ceiling centre wings. I don't think you can burn a last trade on a second rower unless you're short. I just don't see anyone in that position that has a ceiling, especially now for feeders off the bench. I mean, he's probably the only one that could post a 130 plus score. I can't really see anyone, especially with all the injury carnage there. I mean, I wouldn't be a Hail Mary. Take your pick. Centre wings. I actually suggested last week to one of the guys in the chat, and he decided to ignore my advice to go Josh Adokar. And he proceeded to put 136, and he seems to go on those runs. So before last week's score, he was pretty quiet, but early in the year, I think leading into Origin, he put score after score after score. So he's not a bad shout, especially against Parramatta edges who love to come in. So that ball out wide is always on for him. So I can just see him absolutely going on a tear this week, to be honest.
Yeah, no Sevo as well this week. Do we think Adokar could get rested? Because that's also one thing. I'm just looking at the way he's rested players last week. I do think he's a player that could potentially get rested, but that's just my assumption. Yeah.
You could go Jason Saab, for example. If Turbo plays, he could do Hail Mary, go Jason Saab. If I mean, I wouldn't, but the averages. Well, Turbo is not in the side, just is telling. So he could do anything as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Jake, the second part of that question, any second rowers he's after, do you think there's any good second rowers to target? I know second rowers have the biggest hole of injured players or players in doubt. Obviously, if you didn't hold Angus Crichton, he's an option for next week. But then again, the Roosters, draw is not as easy as it was before. What do you think?
Yeah, like Rob was saying, I don't think second rowers are what you're aiming to bring in at this stage. You need players that can go massive, and that are going to be a bit of a point of difference. So you definitely go with centre wing if you need to, unless you've only got less than three second rowers and you're kind of thin on numbers, then you're going to be forced to bring one in. But it doesn't look like he needs that because he's got Hines in his centre. So bring someone like Adokar. Who else? Brian Toto is an interesting one you could also bring back in to sort of be a big pod. You could go massive this week and next week against a depleted Eels team as well. Assuming he plays because he hasn't played for a while. Don't look at second rowers.
The only thing I'm worried with Toto on that is they play the last game. And, he is coming back early. Reading again, NRL Physio was saying that it'd be the fastest return since Dylan Brown, saying for the same injury. So if you're really wanting to go Brian Toto, you got to be sure that he's playing, because if he was a late scratching, you'd be absolutely filthy.
Yeah, just a quick thing with Brian Toto. I know the physio posts stuff, but the Penrith posts an injury report once a week. When I decided to sell him, I really focused on looking at these videos to see if I could pull out any information that not only, the club's posting, but anywhere else is posting. And their reports were that, their goal the whole time was to bring him back for round 25. So it is a big surprise to see him back a week early. I wasn't predicting it. Their plan was, I think, Cleary wanted to always try and get him back for one round before the final. So it is a bit of a 50-50. I think the fact that he's not even named in the 21 squad, he must be back and ready to go, but it is a big surprise if he does. So I guess it depends if you want to play it safe or not. I guess if you have 18 players, you don't have to worry too much because you can cop, or if you have 17, you can cop an AE. But yeah, it's an interesting one. We've had quite a few questions come through on here, so we'll start plugging some of them. We'll go back to you, Clementine. All right, I'll pop it up on the screen there. So we got, who do I put on the bench? Marty Tapau or Brandon Smith? So Manly against the Doggies, and we got Storm up against the Eels this week. What would you do?
I love Brandon Smith, so I'd probably play Brandon Smith. I just think he's been scoring so, like, he just is such a guy at Supercoach. He scores so many points. He gets really good attacking stats as well. I would 100% go Brandon Smith with this one. I mean, I guess you've always got Harry Grant on the bench, but even he's still getting all that time on the field and he's still getting all those points for you. So I would go Brandon Smith.
Yeah, that's a good one. Just quickly comment on, who do you support? We forgot to ask you that question.
I guess I have to support the Warriors. I'm a Kiwi.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I wanted to just double check and confirm.
Yeah.
All right, so we got, okay, cool. So we'll go, I'll quickly answer one Penrith question for a Penrith supporter. So Michael Carver just tuned in. Who do I play out of Hines or TPJ? Look, it's very tough. I guess you're playing both of those because you don't have any better of a choice. I don't know what TPJ scored last week, but with the minutes he got, I assumed it wouldn't have been that good.
It was a good
I think he
PPM.
scored like 24 or something.
32. He actually played my side, actually. So he got 32 in about 20 odd minutes. So the PPM's there. It's just, he just needs to bump his minutes up. And maybe not this week, probably a similar minute. But next week, if Penrith rest a couple of guys, he could come in on the edge, or depending on Cleary decides to rest anyone. But for this week, it's a tough one.
Obviously you'd find out if Hines. Yeah, go Rob, go.
I'd actually play Hines.
Yeah,
I actually play Hines and bank that he might jag it late attacking stat or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'd play Hines. Obviously, before this game, you would know if Hines starts or not. The key thing with Hines, too, is in 20 minutes of time, I definitely see, he could come on, score a try, get involved with a lot of attacking stats, where TPJ, the big thing, too, they're back to full strength this week. Fisher Harris returns. So he's going to deem a lot of minutes. You've got the second row. They're going to share it between Kickout, Catewell, Martin. Kenny's still held on the bench there. We have seen him share bit of minutes in the middle and at lock. Like it's going to be interesting to see how Ivan really rotates all these guys around. But I just think with the minutes he got last week, as in TBJ, I think Fisher Harris is obviously going to make it a bit harder. So I know a few people have held on to Fisher Harris too. It'll be interesting to see if they play him. Well, that's a good question, Clementine. Are you planning on playing Fisher Harris this week? Are you worried that he's not going to play big minutes?
I'm not that worried he's not going to play big minutes. So I'm 100% going to play him. I think he will get big minutes, and I think that he's just going to come in nice and fresh, and I think he's going to want to make a real go of it. So when he comes in and he just makes such an impact at the beginning of a game. So I'm 100% going to play him this week. I've actually got Hines on the bench, and who else? And someone else on the bench. Can't remember who. But Tupanora on the bench. So yeah, definitely I'm going to play Fisher Harris. Yeah,
it's an interesting one because I think he could have came back last week and the coach has opted for him not to come back.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. So you think his fitness would be right this week to play.
Yeah. And I think he's just going to be really fresh and he's just going to just want to get out there and just go, I think.
Yeah,
I just hope for my sake, not being a Fisher Harris owner, he's standing at the dead ball line waiting for kickoffs for half the game.
Probably will be.
Yeah, he might be. All right, we'll go. Henry's got another question here. We'll go to you, Jake. Pappy and Cleary for Ponga and AD, last two trades. It's an interesting one. I guess we did briefly mention Cleary plans, but yeah.
Oh, I mean, I do like both of those. Like Rob mentioned earlier, Ponga being quite poor since he was like a buy-in a couple of weeks ago. And Adam Delia, he's going to be a trade out. You can't really be having that much money sort of being plugged away in your halves or possibly fullback if you got him there. So I like both of those. Like Cleary, Pappenhausen, another player that can go massive this week, and like we'll mention before, he potentially plays next week because he's had such a long rest. So last 2 trades though, doesn't give much for next week is the only thing. But I mean, Henry wants to go and try and finish in the top 11, so he might as well do it. I say, Henry, go it, do it, back your gut.
Yeah, I like it. We'll go to Rob just quickly. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to work out these initials here. So we got Lorraine Stacey. Use the last 2 trades, Dewey to TT or Nuff KK. So I don't know. Does anyone know what TT? I'm trying to work. Tavita to I don't know.
Tommy Turbo?
It has to be Tommy Turbo. Yep, nice. To Nuff KK. Okay, so to get Tommy Turbo, yeah. What do you reckon, Rob? I think it's pretty vanilla there.
If you don't have Tommy Turbo, like, give you the cry. Like this week against the Dogs again. Like if you don't have Tommy Turbo, if you traded him out last week. If you had trades and you think you bring him in, you're hoping he gets gets taken off after the 50-minute mark. But even in 50 minutes, he's shown he's going to put 150 on at that point. So I think if you don't have Tommy Turbo, you're not doing it right. You need him, whether you're overall, whether you're head to head. You just got to get him in.
Yeah, 100% agree. Clementine, do you think Tommy Turbo will get rested next week? We've seen him come back. He's got all these injuries. They're versing the Cowboys. Or do you kind of just think that, Des wants to make sure they get a top 4 spot and he's just going to keep playing him so they can get it?
This is probably famous last words, but I don't think he's going to get rested next week.
Yeah.
I think that if anything, he might be bought off a little early. I guess last week he had the cheekbone injury or the plate, but I think that I just have a feeling that he just wants to play, and I feel like he just wants to play, and I think he's going for the Delium, and I think that he just wants to be there and play. So I definitely think that trade is a great trade that she wanted to make, and I definitely think he will probably maybe get rested, maybe pulled off early, but I think he'll play next week.
Yep.
Well, I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess we all are. I need those numbers. It makes it
positive.
If he didn't play the last round, it would make everything interesting last round in terms of captaincy and everything. You saw last week that when he was a late scratching and
really opened things up.
Timmy trading Ponga to Teddy's just a nasty stroke. If he didn't do that, he's no longer first place. And it's I just see just go for lost words.
But that's all right. It's what you were kind of trying to say. There's like the fullbacks. I think they always play a key part in Supercoach, and I think if Tom's not in there, it's going to make it more interesting. I've kind of think I've been waiting for Tom to get out to get a bit risky with it. I captained Adam Dewey last week. It doesn't really work out for me. So I kind of think it's a little bit more vanilla with Tom in there. It's a bit easier, I think, from a head-to-head point of view. I think it makes it a bit easier if you back your pods. So I kind of prefer him to be in there. And I think it's just absolutely – it could be such a big decision not captaining him this week against the Bulldogs. It's just too risky not to captain him. I guess, we'll go a bit more with that in the captains. I do think there are some great captaincy options this round, but it's just whether or not you have the balls to actually – to do it. So we'll go back to the Facebook questions. More so me and you and this one, Jake. We've got Dean Seeper, our pal there. He's asked, which players are you boys fearing most in your head-to-head matches this week? So that's the first part of the question. What do you reckon, Jake? Who are you most fearing not having? I think it's a pretty obvious one.
I'm versing him in one of our leagues, and I know he's bringing Nathan Cleary, so I'm obviously fearing him. He brought in Pappenhausen last week, so I'm also fearing him. He's going to tally me up because he's got plenty of numbers. But yeah, like the guys in here, that they're fearing not having Nathan Cleary as well. So he's definitely one. Pappenhausen, I think, is another one. And I guess maybe not. I was going to say James Tedesco, but they're versing South. I mean, it is Tedesco, but he's you don't expect him to go too big this week. Mikey, what about you, mate? Who are you fearing?
Yeah, Nathan Cleary is obviously the biggest one there. I had a look. unless a lot of the guys I'm versing have trades left, I don't think they do. So I don't think I'll be coming up against too many Nathan Clearys. But I think the big one, I am still really scared about not owning Tedesco. He's in most of the sides I'm versing this week because we saw last year where Cody Walker posted up that crazy 200 against the Roosters, and we never ever saw that coming. And that was right at the end of the season as well. I really can see a player standing up in this one and having that same kind of effect. Although I'm hoping Cody Walker can do it, there's always a chance. We saw what Tedesco done last week. I don't think he normally, backs off a bit against the big opponents, but I think they'll really be up for this game because the Roosters are going to know that if they want to get a top 4 spot, they're going to have to win this week. Manly have 2 easy draws. I know Robbo will be getting them up for this week. So I definitely think a Tedesco 150 plus score is on the cards, and that really worries me because, that could really hurt me. I don't have a second fullback because of all my injuries. So I think anyone that can post a big Tedesco turbo or whatever 2 fullbacks they have, I think that's too hard to chase. Second point of the question, who has disappointed you more as of late? This is a very good question. David Fifita or Isaiah Papali'i? Clementine, what do you reckon? Who's disappointed you more?
Probably I'd say David Fifita. I think that he might rise. I think he might rise in one of these last 2 games, rise to the criticism. I watched him. We went to the game between the Rabbitohs and Gold Coast at Seabus, and just watching him live, you could see him on the field, and he's clutching his chest, clutching his ribs. He looks like he's hurt. He looks very weary. And just seeing last week against Melbourne when he just let that try through with Cameron Munster, didn't even try, there's something not quite right there, I don't reckon. So I kind of feel, I guess maybe he's disappointed me more, but at the same time, I think there's something not quite right there as well, if that makes sense. He's either going to be injured or he's going to rise to all this criticism he's copying. I would probably say David Fifita.
Yeah. They're both very good points. I think if you're in positions where you don't have to play him, I maybe wouldn't. But yeah, David Fifita, as you said, with what we know what he can do, I think it's too scary not to play him because with how highly owned he is, it could really screw you.
I just want to butt in. Sorry, Mikey, with the Fifita one, he kind of. I mean, I don't want to call him a cat or whatever, but he kind of shies off against the bigger teams, the better teams. He doesn't go looking for the ball, whereas against the bottom teams, he tries to bully them. I guess flat track bully is the term we like to use. So against this week, the Knights, they're not a top team. They're in the 8, but they're not travelling the greatest in terms of place. I know they're winning games, but they're not looking too good doing it. So I think you expect, like Clementine said, you expect Fifita to lift in one of these last 2 games, and I think he will do that this week. But yeah, he has been disappointing the last couple of games because they have had a toughish draw against better teams, and he kind of just shies away from it.
Well, watching that. Oh, sorry. Rabbitohs game.
I could go on an absolute rant here. It's more just I just see this season coaches just being way too cute with their squads and just not seeing what's in front of them. You can rattle off the examples like Adam O'Brien with Mitchie Barnett and Connor Watson. Yeah. Who knows what's going on there?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Justin Holbrook playing Fifita off the bench and appearing. It looked like it worked, but you look at the sides they were playing, absolute trash. Why? And they didn't buy him for that reason. They bought him as an attacking weapon, not to, of course you got to roll your sleeves up, but I think it's more that, the halves just don't know how to use him at all. They just, use him ineffectively. And I think he cops more criticism than actually due to him. You got to look at why they bought him. And then IPAT or BA's lost the plot. You put your best player on the edge, put him in the middle. It just goes to show coaches have just lost the plot and how they use their guys, in my opinion. Yeah. I think BA might be on borrowed time. I think he might be going soon. Big Brad Arthur. Yeah.
And just quickly, boys, we've had an intrusion from the man himself, coach of the Savage Turbos. Brandon, how are you, mate? Nice of you to pop in.
Yes, very good. I'm surprised you're still going. 58 minutes.
Yeah, we're getting lots of questions, a lot of opinions, so it's good. Yeah, quickly,
just wanted
Sabs, you've come in at the right time. You go for it. Go for it.
I just wanted to say thank you guys to our guests for coming on. Clementine, Six, and Rob, brother of
thank
Mary. So I guess if you didn't know that,
I
yeah.
did mention that.
She'll
Yeah,
let me know
quick-
about it if I don't take it out. She'll let me know about it.
All right, so quickly, I want to ask one more question before we go into our captains and bold predictions. Let me take probably the best of the last questions. We'll end on, or Sabs, you can answer a question while you're here. Is it time to cut ties? So Sean Niven, is it time to cut ties with Ponga? Seems like the Clivert show at Newcastle. Your old
Yes.
side mate before you abandoned
Yes.
him?
No.
One of his old sides. He's got a few.
Yeah.
So what do you
I'll put
reckon?
Yeah. No, get rid of him. He's not looking good. He's not goal kicking either. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
how
worked for
are
him
the-
last week, so definitely.
And how are the Savage Turbos going this week, mate? Are you looking at a full side, and what's your plans for this week?
Yeah, I've actually got 18, but that's including Cody Nikarima as my 18th man, obviously. So it's a bit crap that I don't get a free loop in that regards. I was considering vice captaining Turbos and I know captaining someone on the Sunday just to for a pod play in case Turbo doesn't go that good. So I'm not going to do that though. But yeah, I got 18, and I'm versing you in a crucial cash comp. I've actually got through a couple because of my my master stroke of Braden Trindle in a couple of weeks ago. He scored 130 on the weekend, and
Giving it crap. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe
Look,
it when he went that
Sabs,
high. I was
I'll
like,
defend you
oh,
on
God.
this one. I was actually thinking of bringing in Trindle the week I brought in Laurie. So we all know how that went. So
to be fair, he's been okay. He hasn't been amazing. So I think on the weekend he just kind of paid off. But he's been a crucial number for me in the last few weeks. Maybe when I was playing him over players like Ryan Madison or Corey Hawera-Nira a couple of weeks ago, that's when it was affecting me. But like he's just been absolute gold now. So hopefully he can kick on and get a few more good scores.
Yeah, that's good. All right, let's quickly go for our captain options. I think it's going to be pretty vanilla this week, but we'll go in order. Jake, what do you reckon? Captain and VC and C this week, mate?
VC Walker, Captain Turbo. Could be a lot of people saying this, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with Jake. That's exactly what I've got. I'm just riding that Cody Walker's going to do it again and get a huge score against the Roosters. So I'm doing the exact same thing. Sabs, I know you said Turbo.
Yeah, no, it'll probably be the same. I feel like everyone's going to captain Turbo this week, probably. Most people will have a free loop, so yeah, it'll be Turbo.
Yeah, Clementine, what's your plan? If you have
If you
one?
want to answer. If you don't wanna-
Captain Turbo and Vice Captain Cody Walker. I mean, I think you've run well.
Yeah, and Rob,
Yeah.
are you thinking the same thing, or are you thinking of going something different?
look, for VC, I'm actually on the AJ train this week. Actually, I'm just
Ooh.
thinking ceiling. Actually, I think he's going to go over for a few, in my opinion. So, so I'll probably stick this VC on AJ, and then it'll be someone in the Manly game. Most likely Turbo, but hey, if I'm looking to make up ranks, Ruben Garrick might not be a bad option. He's
Yeah,
actually
exactly
outscored
right.
Turbo
You're not going to
a few
win by
times, so,
Captain and Turbo, I don't
you
think.
know.
So
But yeah, it'll be one of those two, the Manly game for sure.
Yeah, I like it, and we'll stay with you, Rob. Bold predictions. What are your bold predictions of this week?
Okay, I mentioned it earlier, but I think there's not going to be just one, but I think there's going to be 2 double tons this week. It's going to be from Tommy Turbo and Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, I like it.
the two
I like
big
it.
guns.
Nice. Yeah,
So I think 2 double
Huge.
tons. My second one is not going to be play specific, it's going to be match specific. I actually think Melbourne are going to put more points on Parramatta than Manly put on the
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 Dogs.
Bulldogs. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's
That's
very
against his own
likely.
team as well. That's against his own team.
Yeah, yeah.
What a line for all.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it just goes to show I don't have a lot of confidence.
No
You know,
faith.
Melbourne's just going to put on a cricket score. You know, sorry to say, that's going to happen. And yeah, that's all I've got.
Yeah, no, that's very bold. You don't need to add anything else to that. Clementine, what's your bold predictions for this week, if you have any? You don't have to do
let's,
heaps.
let's say Tommy Turbo to break the Super Coach record.
Again, okay,
Again.
yeah, I like it.
Again.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Sabs, do you have one quickly?
I'm gonna one up that and say Tommy Turbo is gonna score 300.
Yeah.
Every time this always has to do this. 300.
He's gonna score 300, and there's gonna be DCE, Ruben Garrick, Jason Saab, and they'll all ton up, and then Brad Parker will get sub 30.
You really hate Brad Parker, don't you? You really hate him.
All right, Jake, do you have anything to top that over Sabs?
I don't
top
have anything to top that. I'm just going to say my love crush Anthony Milford to score a ton against the Sharks, but still lose.
Ooh, okay, yeah, nice. I like it. And mine, I've got to go against everyone with the Tom. Although I'm captain him, I'm going to say Cleary and Cody Walker will both outscore Tommy this week. I'm even going to let's chuck in Tedesco as well. So the three of them will outscore Tommy this week, no matter how high it is.
I just wanted to throw in a bit of a question. I think Addo mentioned it. He goes, what score would you actually loop against, I guess, Turbo? So what score?
That's a great question. That's
Cody
a good
Walker
question
or whatever.
to finish on.
What score would everyone sort of be looping at?
Rob.
Mikey?
No, we'll go Rob first. Go Rob.
Oh, Rob.
I've actually looped a couple of times this year, and I've actually done it pretty successfully, to be honest. You know, I haven't been burnt by it, but I think a lot of the weeks people did loop, especially when Cleary went back to back, basically double ton. Tommy, I think, got 160 that week, and I didn't loop it, and Cleary outscored. So that's a tough one. I just don't think anyone before Tommy Turbo has the ceiling. So I think unless they're going 160 minimum,
160.
pray after that.
Yeah. Clementine, do you have anything different there?
What number?
No, I've never looped in my life, to be honest. I would probably, I'd be too scared to, but maybe like 180-ish.
Yeah.
Savs, you're the one who always sort of gets burned by the loop, mate. Would you even loop anything against Tom Turbo this week, considering he's at 300?
I'm actually so against the loops, and the one time I did loop, it was because Jesse Ramian was out, and my VC was Cody Walker. So
He got
I
160.
know it was like either take the 150 or gamble on Tommy. So Tommy had to score more than 150 that time for it to be worth it, and
he broke the record.
He broke the record. That's just yeah. So before that Bulldogs game, like he only scored 144 against the Bulldogs last time, and we know his ceiling is higher than that. So they're gunning for a top 4 spot. So he's got that hunger to just go as good as he can, and he wants that Daily M. So yeah, nothing is gonna. Even if someone scores 250, I'm not looping.
Because he's getting 300.
No, look, I think I'd personally consider a 150 loop purely because I think with him coming back from this injury, I reckon he could maybe only just play 60, 70 minutes. I know what we can see Tom do, but every time I do this against the Bulldogs somehow manage to keep the score, all the Super Coach scores intact. So, look, a 150 plus from Cody Walker, and I really would at least consider it, but I think I'd feel more safe and comfortable with a 180 plus. So, yeah, it's a tough one. What about you, Jake? Are you in the same boat? Or?
I'm in the same boat as you. I think sort of 150. Anything above that, I'd probably loop. I guess everyone else is going to probably keep the captaincy on him or doesn't have him as the VC. So it's, I guess, a point of difference taking that 150 and then praying that Tom Turbo doesn't score 300 like Sav said.
Yeah, 100%. All right, well, I think it's about time to wrap it up. First and foremost, thank you so much, Rob. Thank you so much, Clementine, for coming on. Best of luck for the rest of your season, and hopefully you both can get that tracksuit. Or do you all get tracksuits in the top 11?
Yeah,
Is it?
top 11? Yeah, top 11.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Well, best of luck.
dream.
Yeah,
That'll-
best
that'll
of
go to
luck.
sick.
And a pair of
Best
socks.
best of luck, and good luck at trying to chase Timmy, and hopefully we hope both of you guys can do as best as you can and finish within that top 10 or even take it out. So thanks again for coming on. Thanks as always to Jake for backing me up today, and Sabs, hopefully we might have you back on next week, but thanks for the small stint. So best of luck to Super Coaches, and good luck in your head-to-heads this week.
Thank you.
Anybody like some pound cake? I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Cake. I found cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake.